So the next feature is the combination saccades and pursuits, and that is such a tremendous exercise. It's really to the credit of Dr. Carrick. These are known as the Carrick brain exercise or brain eye movement exercises, where you have a pursuit movement within a saccade, or a saccade movement within a pursuit. And they're both following the same plane of movement, but in opposite directions. So the benefit here is that you can completely isolate one hemisphere of the brain. So if I were to do, especially on a diagonal, but you can do that on the horizontal as well, but on the diagonal, if I saccade up and to the right, okay, saccade up and to the right, and then I pursue back down and to the left, the muscles that I use in the eyes to go saccade up and to the right are your superior rectus of the right eye, inferior oblique of the left eye. Those are both innervated by the mesencephalon on the left side. And the superior oblique and the inferior rectus of, superior oblique of the right eye, inferior rectus of the left eye, when you pursue back down. Again, the innervation of those muscles is the left mesencephalon. So this motion is a pure left mesencephalon motion. Beyond that, it's a cerebellum, right cerebellum, left mesencephalon, left cortex. These are hardwired together. They're meant to work together. They're connected at birth. So they're hardwired. And this movement of the eyes in that plane, in this pattern of saccading up and pursuing down, is just a beautiful strategy that activates one half of the brain. And we can use that therapeutically significantly, you know. So if you find that there is a hemisphericity, this is a great hemispheric exercise. So if you were to do that on the horizontal, then you would engage the pons a little bit more. So it's just a little bit less pure, but that's okay. That might be appropriate. And this is for the right brain. So in this case, you would go in the opposite direction. This is a great cerebellum exercise as well. A great advantage of combining the saccades and the pursuit is not only that you can return to your starting point and keep going, and in every movement you're always activating the same part, same region or same section of the brain, but it's a very effective strategy to improve visual mapping, so the visual maps. And those maps really reside in the colliculus, the superior colliculus. This is the great collicular exercise, or those maps are called collicular maps or visual maps. So it's a tremendous exercise for that. So we can use it to stimulate the frontal lobe and the parietal lobe on the same hemisphere, single hemisphere, unilateral midbrain, unilateral cerebellum. We can do all those things. Okay? So let me show you how this looks like on here. So it's this application up here, combination saccades and pursuits. And this is a great strategy also because you're combining a horizontal vector and a vertical vector together. And so when you have a diagonal movement, it's a combination of both horizontal and vertical. So it's really ideal for improving visual awareness or visual mapping. So the settings that you'll find here are similar settings that we saw earlier with the pursuits and the saccades. And all of these settings are on here. You can change the direction. We can make it in diagonal motion. Again, this is certainly a feature that I use a whole lot. Target type, let's make it random. You know what? Let's just pick something else. The crosshairs is a really good one because it allows you to really fixate on the center of the target and have less visual scanning. Background, let's make that background textured. It's just more realistic. Time interval. If we make the time interval random, that can really help to prevent anticipation. If a patient is struggling making their saccades, especially the initiation of a saccade, then you might want to not use random, because you want them to anticipate and use that in your favor to promote that movement. But let's just keep it on, let's make it 1 second. Okay, let's just say that we want to use anticipation on our side. Okay, we want to help the patient make better saccades. And this is the reps of how many times we're going to go through the sequence. Well, so let's just do it twice. And the quantity of saccades, let's make it 6. So from the bottom to the top, we're going to have 6. The initial pause is 1 second. Final pause, 1 second. Start positions -4, so that's at the bottom of the screen. Let's just go to 3, which will be not quite at the end. And let's make it -3. This is a big screen, so I tend to use those features more when I'm not using the iPad. Express. I use Express or Gap almost exclusively because you want to facilitate the initiation. And when we train, we want it to be quicker, easier, so we want to build that up. If their initiation is too fast, if they've got ADHD, then you can use the Gap, but I rarely use it. And then initial type of movement, I like to start with saccades, so we're going to do saccades first and then pursuit. But you can do it the other way around. You can switch it around. Pursuit speed is at 4. That's a good speed. Let's add the sound because we want to really help our patient have faster saccades, faster initiation, faster movement, more velocity, better latency. And so we're going to help them a lot. Okay, and then we hit start. And with our eyes, so you want to make sure that from a posture standpoint, that your posture is as good as it can be. You want to use this visual encoding to also benefit posture. So sit straight, have your head in the center of the screen, your eyes at level at the center of the screen. So you're really stretching your gaze. And you may need to start shorter and work your way, to a larger spread. You can make those clinical decisions based on your patient. Okay, so we did it twice there and it stopped. This is a great time to use the metronome feature. And I have a patient that does this every time he comes in. He doesn't own an iPad, so he doesn't do it at home. He only comes in once a week. And he had a tremor in his right hand. He had a hard time holding a cup or pouring out a glass. And so this is the exercise that he does every single week. He comes in, he does exactly this exercise, and it just took care of the tremor. It's gone. He only does it once a week. Now, we tend to recommend to do things multiple times a day to really build endurance and help create a change in the system. And I suspect his tremor was more of a cerebellar tremor, but he has done just remarkably well. So what we do is we turn the metronome on, and what I like to do, okay, we've got a 1 second hold, okay. So he's going to do his metronome exercise here all the way through like that. But I like to do a circular movement. Perfect. Now he would pursue it back down, but I like to do a circular movement through it. If you want to space out the time, in here so that maybe you do a full 8 and then touch, you could do that. You can space it out so that you can do 1 or 2 figure 8s and then touch. You can get really creative with this, but that way you're really adding layers of difficulty within your metronome exercise. If I wanted to, I could run it vertically, and if I want to alternate each hand as I'm going up, I could do that too. So there's a lot of different ways you can play with this if you want to do a bilateral stimulation or just a unilateral one. But you can get creative with that. So again, these are great to improve those vectors. Earlier, when we did the bedside exam, we tested diagonal saccades. And that's to see if when you move in diagonal, if the eye has a preference. So if the eye moves horizontally before it moves vertically, instead of going straight from here to here, the eye does this, horizontal then up. That initial movement, if it's vertical and then over, or horizontal and then over. What it does is it shows you which direction, which vector is more efficient. If you move horizontal and then up, that means that the horizontal one is more efficient and the vertical vector is not as efficient. So you might want to do vertical saccades first, really work that up. You might need to do a yes motion each time, to really push that vertical drive there using the vestibular ocular reflex. So you make it hold long enough so that you can do a yes motion and then up and then a yes motion. Okay, and up. So you can use that as well. Okay? And that covers our combination saccades and pursuits.